Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Football.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Football here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I am John Nabors alongside Curtis Wilkerson, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your Sunday evening this evening. And just once again, as you know, scrimmage and press conferences never actually go on time like they said, so we appreciate everyone's patience. But we just got to hear from Ryan Silverfield. We got a little taste of practice today, and I know we'll dive into it. And there's one particular thing that I think will probably be a little bit important here. But Curtis, starting quarterback, QB1. No more speculation. KJ Jackson officially starting for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Your thoughts?
Well, it's about dang time, you know? No, in all honesty, the moment that we heard this was going to be a competition, way back in the spring, they put the roster together before the first spring practice, and Ryan Silverfield said, we're going to have a competition. We're going to take this thing into fall camp. We all kind of felt like it was maybe unnecessary because it felt pretty clear, at least on the surface, that KJ Jackson was the guy. But the truth is, he hadn't earned it yet. You know what I mean? Like he hadn't earned it, not at Arkansas, not with this coaching staff. And now that it's played out, I actually enjoyed watching it because I think competition is good for inexperienced players. And that's what Arkansas has at quarterback. It puts a lot of pressure on them before the season starts, and you have a lot of pressure on you on game day. So you learn how to handle that and perform with it weighing on you. And we saw that play out day in and day out throughout the spring, but definitely once we got into fall camp, and it was like the heat is on, man, because at some point, one of you's going to be the starter and one of you's going to be the backup. And KJ Jackson was the steady hand from start to finish. He wasn't perfect, but he was more consistent, more polished, and he has now absolutely earned this job to be the starting quarterback at Arkansas, and good on him. He's better for it. Guess what? A.J. Hill got a heck of a lot better too, because if and when we see him now in a football game, I'm going to feel a lot better about it than I would have when Arkansas got him and when we were watching him in the spring. So this wound up being a good thing. I'm very, very happy that it's over and that they didn't take this into game week or into the North Alabama game or whatever. I love that they've got 2 weeks and they can get into game prep with their guy running the show. The KJ Jackson era has officially arrived, and I'm here for it, man. Let's go.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too, man. It's like it's something we had talked about from the jump. And I remember in spring, we didn't really know exactly how it was going to be approached. It wasn't exactly something that we thought that, okay, well, this could be something that, could be changed up, and, then this guy gets named the QB, and then there maybe we just go on from it, because in spring we were just waiting. It was like, all right, well, I guess there's not going to be one named. And then in fall, all right, well, there may be one named the leading up to the game. Like, we truly did not know when it was going to happen. But we all felt it was KJ Jackson. Like, we all felt it was KJ Jackson. We all felt it was KJ Jackson. There may have been a few days, a little thing in here and there that we're like, well, okay, but yet still KJ Jackson. But here it is. I mean, he had been the guy that had gone through the process. We all felt like when he was brought back to the press conference, when Ryan Silverfield was hired, it's like, you're not doing that for a backup quarterback. It's not to say that they did not give A.J. Hill a fair shake, because they did. I fully believe they gave him a fair shake. But ultimately, they decided on KJ Jackson. And I know we'll continue to have reactions, but let's just hear from Ryan Silverfield, who met with the media today. And he opened up his statement with announcing, which, by the way, real quick before we do that, how the timeline planned out for this. Press conference was supposed to be at 5. They get sent an email that they pushed it back to 5:30. Press conference didn't actually begin until 6:15. While we're waiting in said press conference, Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, comes out. KJ Jackson named QB1. Oh, okay. Well, then a few minutes later, Ryan Silverfield comes in, and guess who's right behind him? Brandon Marcello. So I was like, I guess there was some sort of one-on-one deal or whatever, but it was like, that's how it all transpired, because Brandon Marcello tweeted that, and then pretty quickly afterwards is when it was officially announced by the team. So
that is awesome. I didn't know that Marcello wound up popping in there. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm like, because at first I was a little bit irritated, because I'm thinking, okay, well, the entire Arkansas beat is waiting for Ryan Silverfield in the media room right now. Like, couldn't he just come in there and announce it and then everybody got it? Like, how did Marcello get this? Did somebody tip him off? Did he get a text message? Well, at least he was there. He's a national reporter and everything like that. And then he was able to walk in there with them. So I feel better about it now. Good on Marcello for the scoop, man.
Yeah, it was great. And Ryan Silverfield knew that was the case, knew that was the story. And here's how he opened up his press conference talking about it.
The announcement that KJ Jackson will be our starting quarterback. Excited about him and his role as QB1 with the future of our program. He's done an excellent job. So has A.J. Hill and all of our quarterbacks leading up to today and that decision. It wasn't an easy decision, but a very confident one we made as a staff. All right, and it wasn't because of lack of talent by the others. It was a great mix of guys competing for that starting role. So very, very confident moving forward with him as our starter and leader, and have high expectations for all the quarterbacks to continue to compete and battle every single day because it's college football and you never know what could happen. But excited to name him the starter and move forward with that. And the rest of the team will rally behind him and continue to support the rest of our quarterbacks. Tomorrow, get the opportunity to go speak at my first touchdown club in Little Rock. That's going to be an awesome opportunity for us and to showcase and talk about our football program in Central Arkansas, and for so many of our great fans that will be there as well. Last night we had a scrimmage underneath the lights with a 9:15 kickoff, kind of to give us an opportunity to simulate what it'd be like, one, playing a night game at Utah, but two, just getting underneath the lights, right? I think you don't want to ever go through training camp, regardless of your early schedule, without getting underneath the lights, new lights, and just the opportunity to catch balls, see it, work the different things, the different situations, where the shadows, all the different things you need to. It was just over 100 plays in the scrimmage, got better, and now we're rolling in, obviously, with Monday being our off day tomorrow, and really into a routine, kind of starting to game plan for North Alabama and continue to focus on getting better ourselves.
Yeah, Coach.
Okay, so that kind of went to an all-encompassing thing, which I know we'll have another clip talking about the decision and what went into it and everything. But just what you heard from Ryan Silverfield there, Curtis, and talking about what they saw from him, you know, what they liked from him and everything. Just wanted to say they have full confidence, but they also have full confidence in AJ, you know, playing it the right way. But it seems like at the end of the day, KJ was just the better option right now.
Yeah. And I think we could all kind of see that, and I'm sure they did too. They had way more information on it than we did. I think they made the right decision here. We won't really know for sure until we see the games get played and everything like that. But like I said earlier, man, I like the idea that they did this competition now that it's over a lot more than I liked it when I heard that it was going to be a thing, because you could really feel the competitive nature out there at the practices. And I think they needed that. It kind of helps you set the tone for the culture and everything that you're trying to build around the program. And I wasn't sure how that would work because I was so focused on, man, so many new players, so much newness, coordinators and playbook and everything else. You just got to have QB1 figured out. Why does this thing have to be in flux? But now I get it. You know, you got to trust the process a little bit. And Silverfield's impressed me from this standpoint. But yeah, KJ brings all those intangibles that they're looking for. Every time that they spoke, John, on this quarterback competition about this is how you're going to win the quarterback job, this is what we need from our quarterbacks, they were just describing KJ Jackson. It was like they were reading his biography right out there in front of everybody. So yeah, I think it makes sense that they were able to go ahead and make this decision now. It's good timing for it. And like I said, I think A.J. Hill is better from having experienced this, a lot of lessons learned, and he'll be a better quarterback for it. And we'll see what the future holds for them. But I like it. It's also not lost on me that Ryan Silverfield cut a promo for the Little Rock Touchdown Club there during his little spiel. But good for KJ, man. I'm excited for him. I enjoy it when we hear from KJ Jackson. He's very well spoken. You can tell he's a good leader, a good guy to have in that locker room, a good ambassador for the Razorbacks. So excited for him to get this opportunity. I remember watching him in his first spring and being impressed with how the ball comes out of his hands. We're like, man, they might have something down the road when Taylon Green is out of here or whatever. And then I think to what you brought up of Silverfield's intro presser where they announced, hey, KJ Jackson's coming back. And then today, seeing Silverfield up there, giving the spiel that we just listened to, it was almost like a full circle moment. It feels like it was meant to be, it was supposed to happen, and it eventually did.
Yeah, and I know we'll play another clip too, because he'll really dive into what went into the decision. But I'm curious your thoughts, because I agree with everything you said, and just is all just making sense. But I was wondering if they kept telling us one thing, but it was after scrimmage number 2 when they were going to have it announced. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if was not saying that once the spring ball started back in March, then they're like, hey, our second scrimmage in fall is when we're going to announce the QB. I don't think it was that. But I think maybe in fall camp, when they kind of, especially early part, when they started seeing it, I'm wondering if they're like, we're giving both these guys 2 scrimmages full on. in certain situations, making sure they got a balance of you go with the ones, you go with the two, like all of that. And in those two scrimmages, we're going to know. I feel like that was probably the case, which again it doesn't matter when or how, I don't know. But I don't think that this was maybe as whimsical as like, we'll see. And then just they woke up after the scrimmage last night. You're like, yeah, you think you guys think we're ready? Yeah, I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and name him. Like, I don't think it was that. I think maybe it was a plan all along to have these two scrimmages and make their decision then.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right about that. I mean, I think about the time we did this last week, and right out of the bat, Silverfield was like, hey, no, we don't have any separation yet. No, hey, listen, AJ Hill's going to run out there with the first group in the next scrimmage, and we'll know a lot more in 7 days. I remember him saying that. We're going to know a whole lot more in the next 7 days. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe he'll go ahead and do it there. Or, like you said, this was our last practice that we could go view today as media. So everything is kind of shut down to cameras and the public view at this point. So I was wondering if it was going to be a deal where maybe they go ahead and make the decision and they start rolling with that at practice, but they don't announce it. And then we're none the wiser because we're not able to be in there and watch. I'm glad that they went ahead and went public with it. Thank goodness they were able to do that. And it's not like we didn't get to watch last night's scrimmage, and we weren't able to get the full stats and the full picture, but we've got a lot of stats I know we'll share when we get to that point here. But just kind of putting the pieces together, it looks to me like KJ Jackson had a strong day. And I'm not saying AJ Hill was bad by any means, but if you're looking for like a defining moment or something to push you over the top when it comes to making a decision, I'm looking right now at KJ Jackson with touchdown pass to CJ Brown and a 68-yarder to Chris Marshall and some of the things we see in there. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like he kind of balled out. Maybe he just grasped the job and they said, you know what, there's no more point in waiting.
Yeah, it could have absolutely have been that. And again, we'll have some chats and because I know there's a lot of reactions coming in, but Ryan Silverfield was asked about what went into the decision. In fact, it was the first question he was asked, what went into the decision and to make it now. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, Trey, I think it was one of those, we were literally, there's some days it was back and forth, and it was true quarterback competition. I mean, there's times that, where KJ had two good practices in a row and then AJ had the better practice. And I think what ultimately we decided was, they both looked really good on base downs, right? They both were doing really good things in Skelly and being able to lead the offense in different situations. But ultimately, it came down to the actual situational football. And I believe a quarterback, in order to have success, has to be really efficient in those things. You guys hear me quite often talking about 2-minute offense, 4-minute offense, the check plays, the different things that come up, right? Is it a 2-minute situation before half? Looking at the clock, putting us in the right situation, seeing the blitz checks. And AJ did a great job with that. We thought KJ had the slight edge in that. And I think ultimately that's going to give us the best opportunity to have success moving forward. So we based it more so on situation football because that's real quarterback play. And that's where you get to see the biggest difference in those two.
So I think we can all agree that situational quarterback play is what was the most important factor into this because of what he just said right there. We heard it last week and he kept hammering. It's like we hear this coaching staff hammer a lot of things, like we know about playing clean football and how big of a part of it was and not making mistakes, but it's about situation. And it felt like, at least according to that and from other circumstances, that when it came to those situations, I don't know if they kept score at home, like, oh, okay, well, AJ scored this and then KJ scored that. But whatever it was, they felt a lot more confident that KJ Jackson can handle more situations than AJ Hill at this point.
Yeah. No, I was fascinated listening to him talk about all that. And it kind of makes me feel a little bit better about how we were evaluating things as we went through this process, because the very first thing he said was so true, because there would be a couple days where we would walk out of practice like, what are they doing? Like, why are we wasting our time here? KJ Jackson, it's clear as day. And then as we got a little bit further along, especially last week, there were 2 or 3 days where we walked out of there like, not saying that this is a competition to the point of I've changed my mind about who should be the starter, but AJ might have had the better day and he's improving. And I kind of felt like KJ just kind of remained steady, but that's exactly what they were looking for. And I've always felt like in these situational drills, because when they do their team compete periods, as they like to call it, he's just mixing it up, man. You start on your own 2-yard line. No, we're going low red zone. No, we're starting at the 34 and you're down by 3 and you got a minute 15 with 1 timeout. It's like he's just pulling rabbits out of a hat to put him in these different situations. And a vast a strong majority of the time, KJ Jackson found more success than AJ Hill did in those drills. And you just felt like he had a better command of what they had going on. And it just felt like the right move for them to make. So I'm glad that was the deciding factor, because that's playing actual football. Like you said, when those guys just stand there and, they're going through 7-on-7, or it's, wide receivers versus DBs, put the ball where you can. Yeah, AJ Hill stacks up just fine in those standpoints. But when you're playing the game and it's the decision-making and the command of the huddle, that experience factor that KJ Jackson has, even though it's not a lot, I think that, kind of helped him win out here. But it is hilarious, or ironic, I guess would be what we would call it, because KJ Jackson named the starting quarterback. We didn't know that when we were out at practice. His first order of business was a 2-minute drill where he was throwing darts out there today. Chris Marshall, back-to-back catches. Ishmael Cece over the middle for a long gain. Hit Jaden Platt for a long gain. Gets him down to the red zone. You need a touchdown, and threw an interception. And so we were like, oh, man. Would have been a really defining moment there. Made a mistake, whatever. But guess what? AJ Hill went out there with the twos right after that, and it was 4 plays and a turnover on down. So it is what it is. Yeah,
and I think that, going back to the situational thing, that kind of is a great example of when this team has gotten into the red zone as an offense, which, just basing it on the things that we've seen, it's not like they've had full-fledged drives. You mentioned it. Like sometimes they'll start like in the red zone. Like that's where they start. But today it was kind of this thing of like, hey, when they got the open field, when the quarterback's got an open field in this offense, and it just feels like, all right, they're clicking. They got some good things going. You got great catches. You got great decisions. And when they get into the red zone, they crap their pants. Now, I'm hopeful that's not what translates into the game, because obviously that was a problem we were talking about at the practice like 2 years ago. You remember there was like they got within the 20. That was like danger zone, which shouldn't be the case. That should be when you are feeling your best, and having your best offense happen is when you're right there in scoring position, and they weren't very good at it. I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case this year, and I'm also hoping that all this situational football, that's one of the big glaring things and the reasons why they put him in so many of those positions, could be like, hey, this is a problem here. This red zone offense, this red zone confidence, this is a problem. So let's start putting these guys in as many possibilities that can happen late in game, early in game, on fourth down, whatever it is, and see how they handle it. Because just from the short periods of time that we've watched these scrimmages, I'm not saying the offense has been perfect all the time. Sometimes it's been defense making plays. But that has definitely been the one glaring thing of like, yeah, when they get close to the end zone, it hasn't been as pretty as it was from the previous 80 yards that they were having on the field.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true, man. It's an important distinction to make on a day like today where, man, these guys have been battling it out for months, and so KJ wins the job. He earned it, rightfully so, deservedly so. I'm excited for him. Everybody's excited for him, and hope he absolutely crushes it. But he had to work for it, and it hasn't been perfect. And yeah, the situational football, like Silverfield said, yeah, that was the deciding factor. We felt like he had the edge there. But the truth is the defense has had the edge over the offense in the practices that we've been at and watched. And later on in the press conference, I felt like, Coach Silverfield did a good job of echoing some of that sentiment of, hey, none of those guys are perfect. Like KJ wasn't perfect, and AJ's not perfect. The offense wasn't perfect. We got a lot that we still have to work on and improve on. And he kind of mentioned that specific drive that we were able to, be out there and watch. He's like, no, we want to execute better in those situations. It's something that we have to continue to emphasize and get better at over the course of the next couple of weeks. But he said it best. Hey, when you're the head football coach and not a coordinator, you're looking at the whole thing. So it's like, on the other hand, it feels great to see Miguel Mitchell step up and make a play and make an interception there. And when the defense is getting these stops, that makes me feel a lot better about when we're out there in a game and in similar situations that they'll be able to come up and make the big plays. So it goes both ways. A lot of work still on both sides of the ball to do, but I am excited that this is over with now from a competition standpoint, honestly, because we're not able to go out there anymore for practice, John, so we couldn't evaluate it anymore. We'd have no idea. We just have to wait for Tim Cramsey to get up there in front of the microphone and be like, hey, both quarterbacks are great, okay?
Yep. That's what's going to be. It's like we're not going to get anything out of it, and that's fine by me because that's just the way it is. And I'm just glad that we got it out of the way, and now we know. Which I know we'll have continued reactions. There'll be more reactions because I'm sure Tim Cramsey will be asked, "Hey, what do you make of the starting quarterback KJ Jackson?" Like I'm sure he's going to have his own reactions. Ron Roberts will probably have a reaction to it. I mean, they're going to be asked about it nonstop, and so of course we have a lot of people in the chat too because they're going to talk about. I know we'll talk about Inside Arkansas Live throughout the week, but either way. Also, in addition to the quarterback, you have the stats that happened in the scrimmage from late last night, which, by the way, kind of to set the tone. They did a late night scrimmage. Right? We're talking about like 9 o'clock. A lot of that is to just, again, situational. We know that it's going to be around that time, or at least their body clock is going to be on that time when they're out there in Utah, which is game 2. So obviously it's important there. Ryan Silverfield even made the joke where he was like, yeah, we got done and I saw it was 11:15. He's like, oh, geez, it's past my bedtime. I mean, it was something that where it was really set up. So a lot of stats got read out, but what were some of those that were not only just from the offense, but from the defense side of things too?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with the quarterbacks, and they didn't give us like the so-and-so led this touchdown drive or whatever, but just kind of like big plays and things like that. So KJ Jackson, who, was announced the starting quarterback after that scrimmage. There was one drive in particular where he had 3 separate completions to CJ Brown, all on the same drive. So one for 15 yards, one for 12 yards, and then the touchdown pass to CJ Brown was for 22 yards. So good on him. He hit him later in a different drive for 29 yards. So sounds like the KJ to CJ thing is working out pretty well for him. And that's good to see because we've seen Chris Marshall stepping up and kind of taking a hold of maybe that top wide receiver spot. You felt like CJ Brown has just been pretty consistent. Silverfield called him Mr. Reliable out there today, and he has a huge scrimmage. So that's really encouraging. But good stuff from both of those guys. KJ also had a 68-yard touchdown pass to the aforementioned Chris Marshall, who just continues to make huge plays in these scrimmages. You love to see it, man. That excites me. That gets me going a little bit. AJ Hill, the only things we heard about him, he had a 12-yard completion to Antonio Jordan, a 25-yard completion to Chris Marshall, and then a 35-yard completion to Courtney Crutchfield. I didn't hear them say anything about a touchdown pass from AJ Hill, so maybe he didn't have one in this particular scrimmage. So there's that. Just going through some of the other things here. Hank Hendricks sounds like his best completion was to TJ Hodges for 17 yards. Jamari Hawkins had a big play on a reverse, which I think the U of A put that out on their socials, that play for Hawkins, which is good to see. A couple decent runs like TJ Hodges, they gave him a 15-yard run. Jasper Parker, a 16-yard run. Okay, fine. But defensively, Carter Stoutmire, who I was excited when Arkansas got him from Colorado, and I feel like I just haven't really talked about him much at all. And I know he's going to play. I think he's going to be probably second team at safety, but or at the star position. But he had 2 interceptions, so a 2-pick day from Carter Stoutmire, and then Kamori House, who we have seen get multiple interceptions in practice in the perimeter drill. He's looked really good, had a 40-yard pick 6 and a fumble recovery. So Stoutmire and Kamori House, man, back there wrecking shop, in the secondary. Antonio Sandal Bascom and David Oakey were the 2 who were credited with sacks, and then a TFL for Bradley Shaw. And that kind of highlights the 104 play scrimmage that the Razorbacks did Saturday night.
Yeah. Which, by the way, too, and you may have mentioned it because I don't think that they did. They didn't say who threw the picks, right? Like they just say who got the picks, but they didn't say who threw the picks, right?
Of course not. No, yeah. Of course they didn't. I wish they would have.
I know.
So if you're looking at it, so Stoutmire, if he had 2, and they'll rotate the guys in and out. So like Stoutmire would have been with the second team defense. So you would think, okay, maybe it was whoever's out there with the 2s, the quarterbacks. But we know that started with KJ Jackson, but AJ Hill probably had a couple series there. Hank Hendricks has been getting some reps with the 2s. So who actually knows? Yeah, Kamori House, starter on defense. So did he pick 6 AJ Hill when AJ Hill started the scrimmage with the 1s? You can try to connect those dots, but the truth is they mix and match the guys who they know are going to play with them. So it's really hard to say. But no, they don't tell us who actually throws the picks. They just tell them who gets them. It's the positivity patrol, and I like it.
Yeah, we'll just assume it was like the walk-on quarterbacks that aren't going to play at all. I mean, obviously, those were the ones that made the mistakes. It wasn't any of the contributors or starters or anything like that. So, but yeah, listen, it's great to see now that it's kind of not full circle or anything, because I know there's still 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks at this point in time till the season starts. But still going to have some practices. But as you mentioned, not going to have any media availability from that. Just got to hear what coaches are going to be saying, and it's good to see. I know we'll have some things to get into the chat. A couple of things. I'll have one more clip at least to play. But one I didn't bring up because it was a longer one, but it didn't need to be is just kind of summed up, this is a great news, honestly. This is great news. Ryan Silverfield was asked about injuries and about Sutton Smith's situation. He says, hey, Sutton Smith, because I believe he had stats last night. So it's like, okay, so he played in the scrimmage and whatnot. They're still monitoring it, but they feel good about him and everything. And there is no other long-term injury thing at all, which is great to hear. Because, with the heat, with the physicality obviously going on with it, with also Arkansas just being a team that doesn't exactly have the most depth, it was great to hear that there's not going to be any more injuries on that front. So love to hear that.
Yes.
Which is also too, because I think we didn't even see any green jerseys out there either today, which I know went full pads, but still.
Right. No, that's what I was going to say. It's one of the main reasons we were out there at practice, because we knew they weren't going to do too much, but we wanted to do roll call, like, hey, the day after a scrimmage, who's not out there? And we didn't go through every single player on the roster, but the notable guys, and they were all out there. Yeah, it was good to hear him say that Sutton Smith was basically full go. You love to hear that, because he's going to be such a big piece to the puzzle for what they're doing. I'm happy to hear that there's no other long-term injuries. He kind of left the out of, hey, we're off today. The guys are going to be in the training room and everything, and we'll know a lot more on Tuesday. So hopefully, obviously no season enders or anything like that, but it sounds like they got some bumps and bruises to be expected at the end of camp, but hopefully those guys are all out there. I kind of like how he absolutely delivered some very public messages, which I guess we could probably talk about whenever, but Silverfield, you could tell he was almost speaking to certain players when he was saying certain things out there. Like in the presser, he was talking about, hey, if you can't practice, you can't play. It's almost like, hey, toughen up. You might be a little bit sore, but you need to be out there, my guy. And I don't know who he was referring to, but he put some of that out there. And then once again, publicly challenged Charlie Collins to get out to that food truck that Cameron likes to eat at and put some pounds on, man. So
yeah, get some fish and chips and root beer and just go crazy with it, I guess. Which, I thought, just speaking of that, it's not like in a bad thing or a bad way or anything. It's just, yeah, it's continue going back to the thing that they harp on, continuing to talk about the things that they are really being consistent on. Like, yeah, that's the thing about Charlie Collins. You're like, my man, get bigger, gain some weight. Got to figure that out. And I also know, and I think, we mentioned him and we know, but I still think it's worth noting. We could talk about expectations of like what individual players have based on what we saw in fall camp and everything. I'm just telling you right now, if Chris Marshall is not the go-to guy and like an incredible player this year, then he will be the ultimate fall camp hero that did not translate to the season. Because even Ryan Silverfield talked about the wide receiver room, or he was asked about who's the go-to wide receiver. And he's like, Chris Marshall. I mean, essentially he's like, yeah, Chris Marshall. He's the guy. We have seen him, and a lot of guys have been consistent, but we have seen him make play after play, catch after catch, all of this. And it's like, man, I don't know if it's going to be a safety blanket for KJ Jackson out there where he's just, throw it up and let Chris go get it. Is it going to be one of those things? I don't know. But man, if this guy is not just that dude when the season comes along, I'm going to be vastly disappointed, because he has been as consistent as anybody in this fall camp when it comes to the skill position.
I love how that got brought up too, by the way, because I think it was Tom Murphy that asked Silverfield. So it's like been such a public battle with the quarterbacks, and you announce a starter, you let the team know or whatever. But what about every other position? Like, did those guys know who's starting? And he was like, well, you got a pretty good idea, but we're going to keep competing. And he was like, so for example, I feel pretty confident saying Chris Marshall is going to be our guy at wide receiver. He's going to start at wide receiver. And it was like, yeah, there's the no-brainer. That's the easiest decision you've had to make since you got the job, my guy, because he's looked awesome. And that was a pretty revealing thing too, that clip there where he was talking about, yeah, like at running back, Sutton Smith, Braylon Russell, kind of going to be splitting the load there. We feel like we are set at offensive line, which we knew that was the case, but can Cash Courtney make a push? What about Josiah Clemens? What about some of these other guys here? Because they've done the thing throughout camp with the position coaches and the coordinators who are saying, hey, no. Like they're still pushing here. We've got healthy competition here. We kind of knew about the 5 offensive linemen that are going to be out there starting. He all but said that. The Charlie Collins thing came up when he was talking about the jack position. He was like, hey, Sackham Souls. He said, what did he say? He was like, he kind of is sort of starting to maybe separate himself at the position. It's like, he's kind of that guy there, but he challenged Charlie Collins to get going. So yeah, he kind of revealed a little bit of his own personal depth chart there, which was good to hear for sure. And he likes his linebackers.
Yes, he's been consistent on that. But yeah, that's something else that stood out when he could have named anybody. And it's always about, I love the patterns. I love, how things are worded and the tone and everything. But it's like when the first example you bring up is like, oh, Chris Marshall. I'm like, okay, because that has to be the one that is by far and away the no-brainer. Like, it's like of all the starting, it's like, yep, that guy's the guy. And so because of that, I'm going to be curious to see how they use him, which I know they will. But is it going to be one of those things to where they're going to utilize him a lot more in his route running? Is it going to be simply more of a like, hey, here's the ball, go like tunnel screens or dump outs, back? All right, now go make a play. Like, I'm curious of the game breaking ability that he has. Is it going to be more when he has the ball in his hands, or is it going to be more when it's not without the ball in his hands, but it's the routes and the way that he's able to get open and be physical at the line with some defensive backs? I'm going to be curious to see what's the game breaking ability that he really showcases.
Yeah, because I mean, Arkansas's offense doesn't profile as one that's going to be just heaving the ball downfield and throwing a bunch of bombs and everything like that. But most of the ones we've seen have been to Chris Marshall because he gets himself open. He's a big target out there. Seems like he's done a lot of his work before the ball gets to him, and then he's off to the races. But he's also shown the ability to get open on those quick routes. They do a lot of little slants and curls and things like that. And he's shown some sure hands, which is good because that was, a thing with him for a while with the drops and everything. But I'm still kind of waiting to see him catch a pass, make a move, make somebody miss, and get that, get those yards after catch and everything. We don't get a whole lot of opportunity to see that, though, because for the most part, they're just kind of thud, or it's almost like, hey, touch to call the down as opposed to full live tackling where you can actually try to make people miss who are trying to get you on the ground. I wonder about that part of his game and what he brings to the table. But Arkansas has also got, several other options out there where if you get them in space, they might have the ability to make some people miss.
Yeah, I think that they do have a few guys that can really make plays, but just from, not surprising, not like we just found this out today, but it just seems like it's going to be Chris Marshall and Sutton Smith. Like, those are going to be their guys that, hey, if we need plays or if we need some big playmaking ability, or, when we look back at the end of the season to see who had the most plays of 20 plus yards type of deal, it's going to be one of those two guys or both of those guys. That's certainly what it feels like. So, but yeah, I really like, again, the fact that Chris Marshall's coming along with it, because not to say that I even hate to say that it was a risk, but it was definitely one of those additions to where it's like, because of the journey that he'd be on, it's like, yeah, but he's got the skill, but can he get there? I think even Silverfield was asked when maybe it was when the transfer portal kind of officially came together and the roster that they had, it was asked about him. So I'm trying to remember, was he later? I think he was later in the portal season that they added him.
Yeah. They definitely already had a number of receivers before they signed him. Right.
Yeah. And they kept a lot of receivers from the previous year. So I remember just thinking, it was like, okay, well, this is going to be a project. This is going to be a guy, we'll see. Let's see if he is able to do it. But I'll be honest, every single thing about him so far, at least on the field, no problems off the field, all that stuff, he's been great. And so I'm just really hoping that it stays that way. And I know he's excited to get out, but it's not going to be just him. They're going to need more than him. But it's just nice to know that you feel confident that you have actually a playmaker out there in the passing game.
He's got that killer instinct too. You need playmakers who you got to be able to harness it and everything, but you need to play with an edge and have a little bit of attitude about you. And he brings that to the table. I enjoy the touchdown celebrations, every single time, even if it's at practice. I'm looking forward to, what do we think? Like 8, 9 of those this year would be kind of cool to see, but no, it's good, man. I'm looking forward to that. And I think he's also a guy who probably feeds off of the positive reinforcement and, feeling like you're wanted. It's almost like the Mika situation where, okay, well, this is a guy who there's some stories, whatever, rough around the edges. Okay, fine. But then you get him there and sometimes you just need the right change of scenery and the right fit and you can really flourish. And it seems like that's what Mika's doing at Arkansas. And hopefully Chris Marshall can do the same. And he's already got a track record of some production with a good football program. And so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. I've got a question for you. Silverfield, when he was kind of going through his whole spiel about, who's standing out at certain spots and you guys have to practice, you're not hurt, whatever, all these things. he said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's not a direct quote, but something along the lines of, there are some guys on this team who everybody just assumes is going to start. They might not. The Razorback fans might be shocked.
Yes.
Some guys who don't start or whatever. And that was one of those instances where I felt like he was sending a message to somebody or challenging somebody to step it up. I wonder who the heck he was talking about when he said that. Because right away I was thinking, oh, well, there's only like a handful of people that I would be shocked if they didn't start. So who is this mystery man, you know?
So I'm glad you brought that up too, because I heard that and I'm like, well, because it's one thing if you say it would be shocked, but you like specifically pointed out Razorback fans. So I'm like,
yeah.
So somebody that Razorback fans just assume, and I started jokingly, I'm like, Quincy Rhodes, is he not going to start?
I thought, yeah. I was like, no way.
It was like, I mean, that's just like, I mean, that might be a fireable offense, honestly, if Quincy Rhodes is healthy and you don't start him and you don't play him. But I was trying to think of anybody else that was like, you know, like that fans look at as just like, oh, this is a starter for sure. I don't really feel like there's that many of those guys because you already named the quarterback, so it's not that.
Yeah, and he said the offensive line he felt like was set.
Yeah,
like,
and then he even said Sutton Smith, Braylon Russell are both going to be getting that. Like,
got to be defense.
So I was going to say it's either like, you know, because Lockwood got some run at tight end, like instead of Platt, like maybe. But defense, it's like, but who? Like who would Bradley Shaw? Sorry, Bradley Shaw Glazer. Could it be him? Could it be? I honestly, truly don't know. I have no clue who he could be referring to, but there was a reason why he pointed out and made that specific statement.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about tight end. Not that I think there's really any drama there, but we know that, like you said, Lockwood's been out there making plays and stuff. Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, and maybe because I know like in wide receiver, what was it? We would see, was it CC kind of running with the ones?
Yeah,
but then sometimes it'd be Hawkins.
Him and Hawkins have been flipping back and forth. Yeah, it's really the last more than a week now. It's been pretty consistent with Marshall and CJ Brown, and then the slot, it's either been CC or Jamari Hawkins.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's a little undecided. And then it's like in the scrimmage, Hawkins obviously made a big play on that reverse, but then CC had that long catch while we were out there at practice today. So those guys are duking it out, but I wouldn't be like shocked if one of them didn't start. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I started thinking, I know you mentioned the offensive line kind of has like already been set, but I started like, what if this was like Cade Kittler? You know, like they're like, hey, we don't really like the way he's been doing it, so we're going to give Cash Courtney
I was
a
listening
shot.
to those Inside Arkansas guys, and your snaps are not on point, my guy. So nothing's settled for you.
Yeah. I don't know. Or Curtis. Maybe we take this one step further. Maybe they've added a new player to the roster, you know, and it's like, that's what would be shocking is like, they got a new starter. That just got cut from an NFL training camp. And they're like, oh, this is our guy, you know, like maybe they went that route, right?
This ain't Baton Rouge, man. But by the way, I'm glad you brought that up because it was funny when Silverfield was asked about obviously Caleb Wooden and then Sean Williams. Is that his name? The Dartmouth guy?
Yeah.
About that entire situation.
I was about to say, I was going to bring it because I got the clip right here.
Perfect.
Honestly, like everything was about the quarterback. And I was this close, Curtis. I was this close to where there probably been 12, 13 questions asked and none of them were about this. I'm like, if I get the mic, I'm going to be like, hey, what's the update on these guys? And are you scouting anybody in NFL training camp? Like, you know, just kind of making a joke about it. But either way, he was asked about Caleb Wooden and Sean Williams. And we know that the ruling that happened on Friday, I think we saw at least Caleb Wooden out there practicing today, but here's the update on those two players and what Silverfield had to say about it.
Yeah, it's quite unique. I think we're all sitting here in the same page. Like as soon as you guys, I'm off social media, so y'all find out before I do. And then I get an email or someone comes and tells me, hey, this rule changed. And so I think we're doing our due diligence, our homework, obviously talking to our compliance department, hey, where the rules stand now, where are we sitting with this gentleman? Is he able to practice? Is he not? Has he cleared? Is there an injunction? Right? Is the TRO gone through? All those different things. And so you're hopeful that if there's any young men you bring a part of your roster, they have the ability to go out there and compete on Saturdays. We'll also have to be smart and say, okay, well, we don't want to take reps away from this guy because this whole thing could blow up tomorrow, right? And we know it's been a lot of back and forth. We're keeping them in the loop. We're having those conversations. The best thing we can do is, if they're allowed to, and compliance allows, right? Can they start learning the playbook? Can they start finding ways to at least do what they need to do? If their number's called, the ability to step up. And sometimes, even if a guy's just currently able to practice, sometimes that's a hell of a guy that can give you a good scout team look.
Okay, so I don't know if you knew this, Curtis, but Ryan Silverfield's not on social media. Did you know that? He's not on social media. Like, it's another thing
he
wants.
should be, so he can be informed before the fan base. You know, Twitter's
Seriously.
undefeated out there.
Seriously.
That is pretty funny, which, I mean, there's probably a lot of truth to that, because I'm sure they get, like, well, actually, I don't know. Like, if there's an NCAA, guideline or change or something like that, or something at the conference level, those guys are going to know in advance, but it's not like they're tapped into the court cases and everything like that. So when the national reporters tweet something out that, oh, well, this injunction is currently stayed, so it's put on pause, or this has been overturned, or this state with these players have a temporary restraining order now and they can play, that stuff gets tweeted out. And yeah, then it's probably somebody forwards it to Ryan Silverfield and says, hey, you interested in any of these guys? Or, hey, Caleb Wooden screwed all of a sudden. So I guess we do find out before him, but it just goes to show you how crazy of a world it is that we're living in right now. And you mentioned, guys getting cut from, playing in preseason games in the NFL and signing on at SEC schools, which is nuts. But even, it's like Caleb Wooden, for example, played at Arkansas last year, familiarity, all that stuff. Okay, great. Seems like just such a seamless transition. Oh, okay, you've got a 5th year. You can come back here. Makes a lot of sense. And then what did he get through? 2-3 practices before all of a sudden the case that he was eligible because of in courts gets stayed, which means, oh, that's on pause. So actually you're ineligible until the appeals are heard, at which point you either be cleared or not cleared. And so then what do you do? And I know, some coaches, think it was Kentucky has a guy in this situation with their football program, and they stopped practicing him. They just pulled him from practice. Well, he's not eligible. He's not going to be able to help our team, so we're not going to practice him. Like Silverfield said, you just have to kind of roll with the punches day by day. And especially for a guy like Wooden, who, I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to be right back at Arkansas and be a starter on defense right away, but he's someone who will probably get snaps for him and could help him out there. So you got to find that balance between, well, today you can play, so we want to be able to get you some reps and get you comfortable. But if not, yeah, you'll be one heck of a scout team player. And that's just kind of the dilemma that they have to go through every single day. And it's crazy. It's stupid. It's really exhausting to cover all this stuff that's going on. But it's also just kind of a 1-year deal from this standpoint, like this extra class trying to do this, that's adding and just kind of, watering down the entire situation here in terms of available players and the timing and all that. We only have to do this once. But the truth of the matter is, what's the next thing? Because somebody's not going to like something, and they're going to go get a restraining order, and they're going to challenge the NCAA, and they have no power to enforce anything. So it's wild, man.
Yeah, and I was kind of curious because when Silverfield was asked about it, I didn't know, not to say I was expecting him to, but I didn't know if he would go on like a John Calipari of being like, let me just tell you my entire feeling on this nonsense and go off on it, which he didn't, which is fine. But I am at least curious because he said going through compliance, going through all of that, is we saw Caleb Wooden out there, for instance, today. And so that was kind of my thought process. I'm like, okay, so is he out there because they feel confident that it's all going to be okay? Is he out there because of like they saw loopholes where, hey, he can practice, but maybe it's not full pads, like whatever it is. But they're going through compliance to figure it out. So whatever it was, the compliance were like, hey, he can go out there, he can participate, at least in something like it was today. Not sure about like the full-fledged scrimmage or anything like that. And Sean Williams, I don't even know if he's like, I didn't see him out there. I don't even know if he has a number assigned at this point in time. So, who knows? Maybe it could be one of those things that like one player is good and one other player is not. Time will tell. But I at least appreciate that Ryan Silverfield is not looking at it through the lens of like one extreme or the other, where it's like as soon as that ruling happened, for instance, on Friday, when he was like, yeah, sorry, guys, no dice, got to go, have fun finding a job. Like, it's not like just simple, like, well, what are you going to do? The court said, so therefore there's no reason to even think about continuing on with this. I appreciate him kind of leaving it in the limbo where it's like, hey, this happened. Yes, it is significant, but we are still monitoring it, but we're not just kicking these guys to the curb either. And because who knows, maybe, and we all know tomorrow there could be a completely different thing in all this. It's like,
probably will be.
Yeah, seriously, it could happen tonight. I mean, the way that all this nonsense is going, but it's like he at least is approaching it in the right way. I feel of, we're monitoring it. We're still going to practice him, but we're also ready for whatever, because as we talked about when they added Wooden and added Sean Williams, I didn't feel like it was one of those things to like, we have to add these guys because if we don't, our season's going to suck. It's more of, we need these guys for various reasons, whether it's depth, whether it's experience, whether it's, maybe there's something that they could really help out with. There's a lot of different reasons, but it's not going to make or break the season if these guys aren't eligible, unlike, some of these other players that maybe are looking at coming to LSU after spending a time in the Browns training camp.
Yeah, like the high profile, big time difference makers. Or it'd be one thing if like it was a quarterback, or something like that you're waiting on. The profile of the player definitely matters there too. But also, I like the approach from Silverfield, young, and I think it just kind of shows the ability to be flexible and just kind of adapt to the landscape of college athletics as it currently is. And if there are opportunities out there to improve your football team, within reason, and it makes sense, then do it. And you just have to assume the risk that comes along with it right here, which is exactly what we're seeing play out, which is you think you're good to go. You're going through the process. Oh, wow, I made it through my 3 days in my helmet. I can put shoulder pads on now. Oh, by the way, you're currently ineligible. We'll see after the appeals. It's just one of those things that you have to be flexible with. And I think they've added at positions to where they can make that happen. And maybe do you think it's easier with football? Because obviously I talk about this every day from a basketball standpoint. It's like, are they going to go out there and add a big man here in August who will start for you and completely change the trajectory of the outlook of your season versus, like you're going to have 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, 85 on a football team and everything. Maybe it's just easier to maneuver around that than it is with, 10 or 11 guys out there.
Yeah, I think so. And and I don't know this for a fact, but I do feel like whether it's the timing or whether it's just the sheer popularity of it or whatever, like it's almost like college football is maybe compared to college basketball going to be like, all right, well, we're going to have this greenlit a little bit quicker or look into it a little bit faster because of, again, the timing of the season being right around the corner, or, for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the nuance of it, maybe it's because of the amount of different players. I don't know, but it certainly gives that feeling that it might be a little bit easier for them to adjust to that, because if you get, it's funny because it feels like the Charles Bediako thing was like years ago at this point compared, but I remember when it was all going down in basketball, it was like, dude, this is a guy that literally played pro and could walk right in and is a man. Like he's an actual man, and it does make a huge difference when you're going up against 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, where in football, I'm not saying it doesn't make a difference. So there's a reason why you can't go into the NFL or get drafted or whatever until you're like 3 years removed from high school.
That's a good point.
Like it's a I think it's a big difference from like, because yes, if Patrick Mahomes decided to come back to college football, okay, yes, that's probably a big difference. But like the tight end, I think whatever his name is that was at Ole Miss, that was at the Browns campus going to LSU. Yeah. Is that a big get? Sure. But it's like, it's not like this guy is going to be just a monster out there compared to these young college kids. Like, I think it's maybe just a little bit closer in the abilities that they have and the physicality that they have, maybe so than basketball.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Which, by the way, so yeah, I guess basketball doesn't have anybody in that situation right now. Football, we know, have the two guys, and then with baseball and what's his name, who was on the fence about, or is he going to come back? Is he not? The outfielder, his name's escaping me.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Stewart.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Right. Yeah. I wanted to say Norm Stewart. I'm like, no, that's the coach of like Missouri back in the day. But right. Yes. Stewart. Sorry.
So he was another guy, I'm pretty sure, who was quote unquote cleared or like protected under the thing in Colorado or whatever. And now as he's probably getting ready to, it's like, okay, well, is he going to be on the team or is he not? And all of a sudden he's not eligible. And so I wonder how that's going to impact things with him. But yeah, it's not just football, not just basketball. Every sport is going through this stuff right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I know we'll get to the chat before we get out of here. But hey, maybe Rashad Dominion wants to come back. Like maybe
How about that?
maybe R-Dub is going out on social media trying to find a place. So I don't know, man. It's just chaos. Whenever I see a tweet from Ross Dellinger or somebody, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. It's like, well, might as well at this point in time. So
I appreciate the national guys that some folks they're getting like copies of the actual court documents. And I don't know what any of that means. So I appreciate the Thamels and the folks who are just explaining it in simple terms that I can understand. Because my goodness, man.
Yeah, putting out little bullet points like, here's what this means. And it's like, okay, thank you. Yes, that would be great. So either way, but yeah, what do you have any other things that we wanted to bring up before we get into the chat from press conference, scrimmage, anything like that?
The only thing sounds like there was some improvement on defense in terms of, one of the things, maybe not as many explosive plays. They also didn't run as many plays total. So, you can do the math there or whatever. But Silverfield did say that he felt like the tackling was improved from where it was the last scrimmage. That they still have work to do, that they're trying to figure out ways to simulate things in practice when they're doing like their positional drills to mimic what you see in the actual game, because he felt like one of their issues with that their angles were just off, because you're, instead of, going around a pad or a cone or something and making a play on a stationary, whatever, like you're trying to hit a moving target. And he felt like their angles were bad. So they're working on that, but improvement tackling for anybody who was freaked out about, what the defensive side of things on the scrimmage the other day. And if you have PTSD like me about all the explosive plays given up, hey man, they had 3 interceptions, a pick 6, a fumble recovery, 2 sacks, a TFL, and they tackled better. So good on you, defense.
Hey, we'll take it whenever it can happen at this point in time, for sure. So, but yeah, we'll get into a few of your chats, and then, like I said, we're actually real quick. Sunday Scaries is still going to happen, but everything got pushed back. It's happening at 8:30. All right, so it's still going to happen. We're just going to switch gears because I know a lot of people want to talk about the baseball side of things and reseeding. And I remember me and Curtis, I think it was on Friday, we're like, I have no Sunday Scaries because the practice and everything is going to happen. Well, then the baseball reseeding happened, and I was like, well, I kind of still want to kind of get into that. But you know what? Hey, it's fine because like the practice, our stuff for practices and everything, we go over by 6:30. It's not going to be any problem. I should have known. I don't even know why I tried, but either way, it's still going to happen at 8:30, folks. For those who want to tune in and continue to go live with us here in a little bit, but we'll get to some of your chats. As we all know, super chats get read first, or membership chats get read first. Our guy Logan, he's just been a member for 15 months. He didn't have a chat, but
stud. That guy Logan's a stud.
1-5. Rest in peace. So yeah, we appreciate it, Logan. Thanks for being a member of Inside Arkansas, an insider of Arkansas. Also, Steven. He's been around for 7 months. Says, Woo Pig, waiting eagerly for basketball, but all this hype is getting me ready for the football season. WPS, ready for my hoops tomorrow morning.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to get off here. John's going to do Sunday Scaries, and I'm going to record the rest of Pot at the Palace. So it's out there in the morning. Yeah, very excited about basketball too, but I like this for football season. I've been kind of keeping my eye on the chat, and when these people weren't talking about feet, whatever, to each their own, you guys are strange. They were talking about the difference in our demeanor and our energy, talking about the football team and the football program compared to this time a year ago. And I don't want it to be misplaced. We were kind of down on the entire situation going into last year. And if you watched how it played out, now you understand why. In the moment, so many people are like, man, you guys are, you're negative, and was this a shtick or whatever? And I understand why some people might feel that way, but we were pretty strong in our convictions that it was almost like prolonging the inevitable with Sam Pittman, who I love, great guy. We know all those things, but that it just didn't profile as a good season. There was just a lot to not like about the situation, frankly. And so, yeah, I think it probably impacted the way that we came across. And now I am excited. I'm excited about the fresh start and the clean slate. I like Ryan Silverfield and, what he's doing for the program so far. Don't get it twisted. I'm not going to predict him to win 10 games when we do that, next week or whenever we do our predictions and everything. It's an uphill battle for him this season, but I like some of the things that we're seeing. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for KJ Jackson. And man, I'm just excited for the start of football season. It always happens. You always get pumped up for it. And I'm there, man. I'm ready for some Razorback football.
Yeah, not just Razorback football, but just in general. We were sitting there talking about the like week 0 games and stuff like that are coming up for college football. So it's exciting, man. Yeah, we're pumped for it. And Arkansas is going to be a part of that. And who knows, maybe they'll screw around and like beat Utah or something, and then we can have more fun there. It would be awesome. Appreciate it. Oh, look at that. Ryan is a member for a year, 12 months. He goes, 1 year. Time sure flies. Appreciate the work y'all do to help keep us tapped into what's happening with the Hogs. Gut feeling on TROs. How does it end?
Man, that's a fantastic question. Appreciate you, Ryan. A year, huh? How about that? Here's my gut feeling. What's going on right now is not how this is going to end, where because of one court case in one state, a certain amount of guys are eligible to play, but because of another court case in a different state, they're not. That's not how this is going to end. I think it's either going to be all or nothing. Otherwise, it's just going to be this constant battle that they're just not going to win. My hunch would be that eventually they all get cleared and eligible to play. But I think the way it's going to play out is that because the NCAA is fighting all these cases and now they're starting to have some success, not in winning or getting these TROs overturned, but just getting them stayed and put on pause, that it's just going to delay. And so you will see it impact things less and less and less, especially with football here. We'll see what it looks like for the winter sports and everything. But I've got a hard time believing that it's going to be like this situational state by state court case type of deal where they're just going to allow a certain percentage of players to play because of that and others not. It just doesn't feel like that's the way this is going to go to me.
No, and I can't wait to actually see if Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, which I know he's not over all college sports, just the SEC, but if he's actually got his balls where it's like he said about like what's going on with the interconference transfers and then like the Ole Miss situation with this new tight end going to LSU, the Mark Mitchell situation. It's like, is he going to stand firm in what he said? And it's like, that ain't happening. Or are you going to fall because you're afraid of some lawsuit popping up? I'm going to be very curious to see how this goes, not just in football, but in basketball in some of these cases with TROs as well.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's very true. We will probably be talking about a Greg Sankey statement on Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow.
Can't wait.
He has to say something, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. And I can't wait especially if like Mark Mitchell can't play that BBN meltdown, dude. They're going to be like, we should secede from the SEC. Like it's going to just go insane, man.
Good.
Yeah. Like, all right, have fun. I'm sure everybody would love to have you. Let's see. Also, Hickory Hog just says, if this team wins 5 games, I'll name my next bull calf Ryan Silverfield.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay.
We'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
I just screenshot this. So
yeah, are you going to brand it with like the name on the calf itself? You're going to tag and release it and like just Ryan Silverfield. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be appreciative of that.
Yep.
I have to let him know. Let's see. Smitty Hogg says Chris is the epitome of wide receivers, or epitome if you're asking our guy Cameron. So
that's the rumor.
Yeah.
Shout out to Out of Context Inside Arkansas for going ahead and getting Cam there.
Yep. Listen, and Cameron's a great sport by it. Some people may get a little bit. Yeah, he's even doing thumbs down right there. So, but like I said, we've all been there. When you say as many words as we do every day on live air,
it's true. Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
John, you've gotten got a few times. I've noticed on that account.
Yep.
Man, if people watch the pod at the Palace, I'd be ruined. I'll tell you that right now. But I've kind of thought about it from Andrew's standpoint, and it's not really that he's ever out of context. It's the exact context he wants things to be in. So yeah, it's a little bit harder to catch him in the catch him slipping.
Although he did have the I love Islam. I'm a big Islam.
Islam is the GOAT. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever it was. It's like that one was pretty good too. So let's see a few more here too, and we'll roll out. Let's see. David in Tennessee says AJ Hill just became the most popular guy on the roster, and he doesn't even know it yet.
That he did, and we've talked about that before, but I did bring it up to say, think about everything that those two talked about when they had the joint press conference, KJ and AJ, about supporting each other, having each other's back. Whoever wins, the other one's going to continue to push them and support them and all that. I felt bad a little bit inside for AJ Hill, not because I thought he should have won the job, but what did every single tweet from every national personality say? KJ Jackson wins the starting quarterback battle at Arkansas. He beats out AJ Hill. So it's like, wow, the whole world is tweeting out that I am a loser in this battle. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's got to hit you in the feels a little bit. So just the same way that it's his job now to keep pushing KJ and be ready if your number's called and everything like that. Hopefully the rest of the team who's been witnessing this battle and, going to war with him every day, whatever you want to say, like pick him up and encourage him a little bit too, because you know how it is in the SEC, man. You need depth and you need your backups, and everybody really does have to be ready. I would be shocked if at some point during the year we don't see AJ Hill playing some meaningful snaps, whether it's because a helmet gets popped off and you got to come in, or a little injury here or there. You never know, man. So hopefully they pick him back up and he's able to shake it off pretty quick.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Yeah, like you said, he's gonna play. Like just basing off of history and trends and everything. AJ Hill is going to play, and he's going to probably play in a meaningful or many meaningful snaps, drives, whatever. You don't want to see it out of injury or anything, but it's just the facts. It's just how it is. So, yeah, you definitely don't want it to be like him just be like, I hate it and all sucks, and I'm just going to go home. It's like he and I think he understands that too, because I'm sure if I'm Silverfield, I'm showing him every example when I talk to him, like, dude, look at all these different teams from all these different places, or maybe his teams. I'm like, look at these guys that got in there in significant time. That's your time. You're gonna get your playing time. It's just a matter of when you're gonna get your playing time.
Yep.
If you weren't here, just go through some jewels. You got 6-7. Thank you from Larry Brown.
Love it.
Trophy cake from Jay Rice. That avatar is just something, man. James Huff gave us 10 jewels for gold coins. Mike Drop from Smitty Hog. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I don't know what this means, Hog 2, and I don't know who started this, maybe Cameron, but it says, if you guys are bored and want to see what John will look like in a few years, look up Giorgio A. Tsoukalos. Should I know who that is? Do you know who that is? I assume it's like an MMA fighter or something.
Don't know who it is. I just looked it up. That's crazy. Actually, that's
Dang.
crazy. I had no idea who that was. I figured you would know, because it seems like any actor or whatever, you and Andrew are really good at that. And I usually have no idea until I see him. So
was he the guy with the meme guy of like aliens? Is that guy? Because it kind of looks like him.
Gotta be.
I don't know. So, okay.
He's Swiss.
Sure. Oh, that's good. It is the aliens guy. Okay. So it is from the History Channel. So I don't know what that means. And I don't know why you feel that way, Hog Tua, but okay. I appreciate it nonetheless. Good grief. So yeah, shout out to Josh. He's been a member for a year. Appreciate it, man. He goes, Mike Washington time in Vegas. That guy's been killing it.
He has been killing it. And did I see that Gene T got hurt?
Yes.
So there you go.
That might be. He's been great. Yeah. Love that from him. And also, I hate that for Jaquin Jackson. That was a scary moment for him.
Man. Yeah.
So glad. Hopefully he's got movement in extremities and all that stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a scary thing. So hate that for both of them. We're going to save this for tomorrow, Curtis, on Inside Arkansas Live. People being upset about Rocket Sanders being in that Pro Hogs pick on social media. We need to talk about that tomorrow.
Ooh, yes.
Because people were very adamant about that. But we need to, stick a pin in that. Because we need to talk about that. Or pin it, stick a pin in the cloud, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's fine. You can stick a pin in it if you want to as well. Finally, this is A-Watch. Says, great job, guys. I love your show. John Locked On Razorbacks gets me through a long drive to work. Thank you. What do you guys want to see in the opener that makes you excited for the Utah game? Well, appreciate it. And for me, what'll make me excited is honestly like a very effective rushing attack. Like that's pretty consistent. And one where it's like, actually, this is going to sound a cop-out answer. I just want to see Arkansas, because they're the far and away better team, they show it from beginning to end. That to me is what's going to be exciting, is if from the jump, there's not this growing pains. You're like, we're going to be up 28-0 before it's all like, before you can even blink, because we're just dominating. Like you do to that, like UAPB or whatever, like just beat the brakes off of them from the jump. That would make me happy.
Yeah, for sure. There's been lopsided scores in games that Arkansas has won against these FCS type of opponents to start years before that have come with a lot of red flags. Like that Western Carolina game several years ago where it was like 2.1 yards a carry or whatever. And it trickled down to the rest of the year. And they've had that sometimes. But I just love the idea of just a thorough, organized, clean effort and go out there and win by like 50 points. No turnovers, no silly penalties. You don't look like you're all playing together for the first time or whatever. It's like an organized football team that plays in the SEC that's playing an overmatched opponent, and go take it to them.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. And finally, C Black just says 10 jewels for hiding. So thank you.
There we go.
Appreciate it. So
there we go.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you, producer Cameron. So this is Houston Nut.
Houston Nut. And we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we will. Jeez, golly. Thank you, Cameron. We can always count on you for being producer down there. So anyways, all right. Well, Curtis, it was fun. Again, appreciate everyone's patience with us. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here?
Yeah, well, hopefully John can, I don't know if he's had anything to eat yet or, take a drink, potty break, whatever, and then he'll be back with you guys for Sunday Scary. So enjoy that. I'm going to get off here and record the Pot at the Palace. It'll be out in the morning, and we'll just keep this thing rolling. Less than 2 weeks away from Arkansas football, man. Exciting times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. Yeah, Sunday Scaries. I know some people are asking about. It's going to happen at 8:30. Give it a little about 10-minute or so break, and then we'll go live, talking a lot about baseball and the reseeding, because I know a lot of people want to talk about that. So we'll get into that. Yeah, because I got to do that. I got to record Locked On. Got to do radio. Got to do the Scaries. Got to do a lot of stuff. But hey, listen, that's what we do here. We are always on top of it, giving you all the Razorback content. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. Check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas as well. You can follow our audio podcast wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast, and we will keep it going from there. That's going to do it for us today. For Curtis Wilkerson, as well as producer Cameron, I am John Nabors. Same sports show, same sports channel. I guess next time we do anything football related, but we will find out and let you know. But either way, we'll be back at it live for Sunday Scaries at 8:30, and then tomorrow at noon for Inside Arkansas Live. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you then.